Well, guys, it's been several weeks, and in that time, we've had Halloween and my vacation to the Philippines. And that's what the theme of this Pokemon booster unwrapping thing is about. So, yeah. I went to Manila, first time on a plane, just 2 weeks ago. And let's see, we have 8 packs, so let's see if we can get through 7 days of that. So, starting off. Yeah, first time on a plane, first time traveling to another country. And I was seeing my girlfriend that we've been seeing each other for since 2020. We had met on an Asian dating website, and she actually spoke to me first, and the rest is history. But let's start out with the drive. So, from where I am in this little town called Bell, Florida, it is about 2.5 hour drive to Orlando. Now, you might be thinking, why not go through Gainesville Regional Airport? Well, the prices were extremely different. Whereas Gainesville was about $2,000 to $2,500, not to LAX, but sometimes they went to Atlanta, to New York, and then to LA. I didn't want that many stops because, I only get a small amount of time on vacation from work, so I have to pick, my routes very carefully. So I chose Orlando's International Airport, which was very nice. The drive wasn't too bad, only getting on the turnpike. And if any of you don't know Florida, the turnpike can be kind of like the Wild West. But I left at 2 a.m. and got there, so it wasn't as bad. It was still pretty busy. First blunder, parking the car. So I was leaving the car there, and it was about $25, $30 to park overnight, and my car would be staying there for about 7 days, 8 days, give or take. So that's quite a bit of money. Now, you might be saying, why didn't I valet? Well, the problem was valet wasn't open until 8. I think it was 6 or 8. But by that point, I needed to be in the airport, checked in, ready to go. So when I parked, I was tired, I was nervous, I was scared of what I was about to face. I'd never faced the TSA before, being on something like an airplane, being in the sky, a long distance journey like that. So I really did not know what to expect other than what people were telling me off of YouTube, the internet, friends of my girlfriend, family members, so stuff like that. Cacnea, we have, there's a blunder. Sandile, we have Marie, this thing, Cher, Toadstool, Sizzlar, Man-Thing, Gokert, Sexy Bush. So yeah, so first blunder, what I was mentioning is parking. So it's a good idea to take a picture of the parking garage that you're in. I didn't do that. When I got to the airport itself, the main entrance, I just turned around because it seemed like I went up an elevator and then went straight inside the building. Well, when I turned around, I saw Terminal A, Parking A, so I just memorized that. But as I was getting on the elevator, they had these little glass displays inside the small lobby that either go down or up into the garage. And I was like, that looks kind of like a bunch of little foxes playing in a desert or something. And I just had that in the back of my mind. I really didn't think anything of it. We'll get back to that. Again, take a picture of where you are. If you're a first-time flyer, first time going to an airport, dear God, please do this. We'll get back to that. Check-in. So the way that Orlando is that when you first enter, you have the first set of airlines. I was going on American Airlines, but nowhere where I was walking did I see American Airlines. And it'd been about maybe 45 minutes of me just trying to walk. I had no idea what to do. And the maps that they give you really don't make a lot of sense. Because if they had a better diagram, they would show that it's kind of like a circle. You have the first set of airlines, you have to go all the way down and then come back, and you have the rest of the airlines. So found American Airlines, and I had to fill out the e-traveler thing, which I don't remember them sending me, but it only took about 10-15 minutes. They took my passport, and I was pretty much good to go. So it was busy. I mean, like, not like insanely busy like it was in Manila when I got off when I get off of there. The TSA was very quick. I was actually very surprised at how fast it went. Because, yes, they do have the circular thing where you go in, you put your hands up, your arms up, and then it spins like a crescent shape, and then you're good to go. Well, at first I was in that line, but then they pushed me to the other line where you take everything out of your pockets, you put your bag and your suitcase, and they send it down the little conveyor belt. Mine was just going through a metal detector the first time, so, you know, I was like, okay. You had to take your shoes off, naturally. So everything was good. And got into the airport and sat there, because I believe by that point it was 6 a.m., so my flight wasn't ready to leave until around 8. So I had about 2 hours of sitting there, which was fine. I had my phone. And getting on the plane, that was kind of the scary part when I was finally boarding onto the plane. Because once I sat down, and about maybe 4 minutes in, then you could hear the rumble of the engine start. And, of course, they did the little, you know, spiel about safety and water landings and all that type of stuff. And I took window aisles. The whole trip, I took window aisles. I'm going to have to rethink that for next time. Now, yes, if you take a window seat, you have a view. Now, American Airlines didn't care if you left the windows opened. When I got onto Philippine Airlines, you know, you could look out for like a split second, but they wanted the windows shut. You know, just different airlines have different rules. The scariest part was when we started going down the runway. Not the initial takeoff. It was more along the lines of the engine starting up, us moving, that I started getting queasy, and I was really scared that I was going to puke. I didn't really have anything on my stomach then, so I didn't know what I was going to puke up. But, yeah, just imagine just getting on a roller coaster, you know. It's not like one of those crazy roller coasters, but I actually started loving more and more of takeoff. Landing, it's a different story. But, yeah, when we shot up into the sky, and at first, though, I had two gentlemen sitting next to me. But the other guy, I think he might have been a cop or something. I don't really know. He kept getting up and like moving around, and he sat next to somebody else. So me and this other guy had like the middle seat completely free, so we had our own armrest, which was really nice. Yeah, all they served on that one was a Biscoff cookie and some Coke and water. I mean, that was fine. It was 5 hours from Orlando to LAX, which is not bad. But I mean, we got over the Gulf of Mexico very, very quickly, and I think there's a couple of pictures of here that I took that, I mean, it was just fascinating to see the land and everything, and how much transitions from, of course, the water to green to desert, and then you get to this giant-ass metropolis of LA, and you talk about smog city. Now, of course, though, was it smog? I don't know. I've never really seen smog. I've seen fog, I've seen smoke, I've seen mist, but smog is different. But it seemed to be congregating around the actual main skyscrapers. And when we landed, it was around 10:30, which is very strange. I mean, the time will fuck you up. If you've never flown before, the time difference is going to fuck you up. I wasn't so much tired at that point. I don't think I slept at all on the trip from Orlando to LAX. But when I arrived, I was hungry. I mean, and I had quite a bit of a walk. I had about a 10-minute walk from the terminal to the next terminal where my flight was going to be. So I stopped, you know, pretty much at it was a Burger King. Magneton, Ralsur, Gavard, this thing, Penny, Metacham. Yeah, you guys know the spiel. If I find anything good, you know, I'll talk about it, but I know something enough so far. So, stopped at a Burger King, and it wasn't that busy on that side of the terminal. And I got pretty lucky of not going too far in the airports. And oh my God. So I just got the original chicken sandwich, some fries, and a Coke, and it all came out to be like $20-something. So, you know, if Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob really wanted to make some money, he'd open like Krabby Airlines. If they've done that already, hell, I'm really behind on my SpongeBob stuff. But yeah, and it wasn't bad. And I had to eat fast because then they called my name and I had to head over to the Philippine airline. They just need to check my passport and everything and all that stuff. So, understand, so the American Airlines plane was a very small aircraft compared to the Philippine airline, which is a massive, massive plane. Don't ask me what the numbers, I really don't know. I don't know what the sizes of planes. I'm not interested in that, so I'm not going to really know. Just say it's a big-ass plane. So we were waiting, and when boarding time came, we were delayed for like almost an hour. Because from what they told us is that the infotainment system wasn't working. So they were trying to fix that. Which is fine. This nerd right here brought his Game Boy Advance and played Pokemon Crystal for most of the time. So yeah, I didn't really want to watch TV or anything, and I slept most of the time on Philippine Airlines. But you could tell, and it wasn't, and a lot of the American people that were coming on this flight were being the assholes. Like, this is fucking bullshit. My God, you know. When you don't hear, you know, the other people complaining, maybe you shut the hell up. You know, shit happens. You don't have to take this airline, you know, go fuck yourself. But yeah, we got on, and I got, I was by the window, of course, and I had this old couple next to me, and they were quiet. They didn't talk at all. But I noticed during the flight, because they served us 3 meals. You had your main entree, you had a refreshment, and then you had breakfast, which was great because when you went there, when you landed, I mean, even though it was in the PM, you had the breakfast and everything. But it was nice. So the man the husband, he didn't eat meat, and he kept telling the stewardess, and he was flirting with her the whole time. I mean, it was just really kind of cute. And of course, the Philippine airline stewardesses are very, very attractive. And he was flirting with this one woman, and he kept drinking like a lot of wine. But he wasn't obnoxious. He was really cute. And she was just, you know, sleeping and, you know, either reading or, I don't know, she wasn't watching anything. We couldn't watch anything. But our first meal, I forget what that one was. It was good. I think it was like a chicken adobo or something, which, you know, I've spoiled myself because I make my own. And so they did the best they could. The other one was a ham and panini Swiss sandwich, which was okay. And then it was like eggs and chicken for breakfast and rice. Like I said, I can't remember very well. But when we landed is when it got really cute, because the husband got up and the wife was like, no, you sit down. They will call you to stand and take your bag. Well, I'm just standing. Because they wanted people who had connecting flights to get off first because they were late. So, but he didn't want to wait, and he was like, and she turns to me and she goes, he is like a child, you know, I tell him to sit and he won't do it. It was just so cute. So when I landed, it was about 8 o'clock, and here's another lesson for you guys. So when we got off the plane into the terminal, I headed to passports, or foreign passports, and very straightforward. Met this guy, and he was just like, yeah, I've been to Manila, I'm seeing my wife and everything, and I was like, I'm seeing my girlfriend for the first time. He's like, oh, you'll love Manila. And we said goodbye, and all they needed was my passport. They scanned it, and then headed out onto the airport parking lot. But first row is for taxis and for cabbies, because there's no Uber in the Philippines, so you have taxis and you've got the cabs. So I called my girlfriend, and she asked me what terminal I'm on, and I'm like, oh, I'm on Terminal 1. They were on Terminal 3, which I asked the guard, and he's like, oh, yeah, that's a long distance from here. So they got it. My girlfriend and her friends got into a cab and came to me. It took about 30 minutes. Then it was trying to figure out where they were, because I was standing on the top portion. You had to go down below, like a level below, and then there was like normal parking. And met her for the first time. That was nice. her friends, Albert, her sister, Joycelyn was there, and they took a lot of pictures of us. And the ride to our apartment complex was really nice. Now, mind you, when I got into the cab, it was dark, so the ride there was very different. It was just like being, in a normal city. Very heavy traffic. I saw a lot of motorcycles, but otherwise I didn't see anything else. And we'll get to that in a sec, why I'm saying that. So we stayed at a place called the Radiance Bay of Manila, and it's a huge apartment complex, and there's long-term residents and there's short-term residents. Very nice. So we got there and check-in, which was interesting because bookings didn't send me anything until directly when I got there. So that it might have been a delay from the T-Mobile trying to figure out where I was into Manila. And you don't check in there. They send you the passcode to your room. And once you get there, you just type in the code. You put your palm against the lock, and then you type in the code, which is really nice. So the room itself consisted of the kitchen. I'm sorry, there's no pictures. I didn't take any pictures of that. I was tired. So you had the kitchen when you entered, which is a nice little kitchenette. You had the living room, which had kind of a small sofa and like a ottoman, like a long ottoman, I don't forget what those called. The bedroom was very nice, and oh my god, thank god, there's an actual place that has stiff beds. Every other hotel I've stayed at has soft beds. I can't stand soft beds. I like firm beds. And the bathroom was nice. One problem. The shower did not get hot. You got warm water, and sometimes lukewarm water. And yeah. Needed some hot water. My girlfriend and her friends didn't care. And also, the TV worked, but the remote was such garbage that you had to press the batteries in a certain way. You had to take the cover off and press the battery on the right side in, and then you were able to operate the TV for like a good 10 seconds before you had to do it again. So we have Bisharp, we have Riolu, Go-Goat, Scatterbug, Vivilion, Dog, this thing, Carp, Scatterbug, Sexy Bush again. Really? It's going to be a Sexy Bush thing? So yeah, the first night was really great. I mean, it slept great. In the morning, me, my girlfriend Regine, and her friends Albert and her sister Joycelyn went with us to Mall of Asia because we had to pick up some groceries. So, very big things about the Philippines. $1 to us is about 55 pesos, which, you can live off. If you have enough money, you can live off very nicely in the Philippines for several months. I mean, it's a very poor country, guys. But it is still a beautiful country. At least Manila is. I have not gone anywhere else, except for Quezon City. We'll get to that. So we went to Mall of Asia, and here's one thing to notice. One, if you have anxiety about driving or other people driving for you, Manila is not the place for you. So we ordered a cab. I noticed that there's not lines on the road. I mean, they're more of theoretical lines. And there are Toyotas everywhere, and I just love it. And they don't use the Corolla. They use this Viso. I think I have a picture somewhere on here, and I'll show you. Oh, I'll take a picture from the Toyota Philippine website and everything. They're beautiful cars. They're just basically fancy Corollas that they use, and they all use standard transmissions. And yeah, I mean, you're waving in, you're kind of getting in, and there were points that I'm like, we're going to crash. We didn't. They had this weird chaotic system of driving, and it just works for them. So we get into the Mall of Asia, and there's guards everywhere. There are some guards that are carrying heavy-ass AK-47s, giant, massive guns, and there are some that are just standing there with regular handguns and everything, and it was not threatening at all. I mean, I felt very much safe. And, I was telling him, I'm like, if we had that back in the States, it'd be actually nice. There wouldn't be anybody stealing from any malls or supermarkets or hardware stores. I mean, damn. I felt safe. So we first stopped at this this little restaurant that we got some pork on a stick and I forget this other stuff, but it was just really good. And they were kind of worried because they were like, this is kind of spicy, and it was not spicy. I mean, it was not spicy at all. But then we went grocery shopping. Grocery shopping was the best one. You talk about, yes, they had a lot of American products there. They didn't have a lot of different sodas, so there's no soda chat, guys. I'm sorry. Maybe next time I can talk to you about the difference with the Philippine Coke and the Philippine Pepsi, which is just amazing. It's a great flavor. But the produce section was where you wanted to be. And I don't eat a lot of vegetables. It was just love looking at all the different vegetables. They were amazing. Different types of eggplant, different types of carrots, radishes, even the eggs. They had little dozen egg cartridges, or 8 cartons that had quail eggs. They looked like Easter eggs. They were all beautiful. And we stocked up pretty much on everything. And Albert wanted to cook for us. So, I mean, hell yeah, go for it. And when we got back, he started making us pork adobo, which, oh my God, Albert makes some great stuff. Or was it, or he made the soup first. Sing Sing? Don't quote me on that. But he made the soup that was just so good, and it was just perfectly cooked. Which is interesting because when we go out on one of the nights and we get the same thing, they did not cook their vegetables long enough. It was like they made the broth and they just threw the vegetables in, cooked it for like a minute, and then just threw it out to you. I don't like crunchy vegetables in my soup. I don't. That's why Albert's stuff was just so good. So that was day one. It was basically just, you know, going grocery shopping. We went down. Did we go down to the pool that day? I forget, because I think that was day 2. I fell in love with instant coffee, and I had liked instant coffee when I was a kid, but now I really, really, really miss it. And the ones that they have, they don't sell in America, so it's kind of sad. But day 2, Joycelyn went to get my girlfriend's son, Zach, and we went down to the pool, this massive pool. You could see the giant star of Star City. We'll get to that. And it was just really fun. And also, we drank a lot. So there's a little mart, there's a little store that's attached to the Radiance, and you can go down. Now, when I say bottles of beer, I'm not talking about little individual bottles. I'm talking about big, giant, massive bottles of beer, and we would get 4 of those things and drink them in one night. So every night we pretty much drank 4 bottles of beer. And you might be thinking, ew, that's a lot. I mean, can you handle that? I can handle the beer. Now, when we get to her parents' place, there's a different story to that. But yeah, we took turns, you know, one person would be the server, they would pour, keep the ice going, and just pass it around. We just had 1 cup, pass it around. Also, we watched a lot of their Filipino love stories, their dramas, their horror movies. I love it. And there's 2 that I fell in love with the most. It's He's Into Her, which is actually a longer series that I don't think that you can see. Netflix doesn't have seasons 1 or 2. I think it's just 3 and beyond. And then there's one that just came out that they were showing in America, promoting in America at the time, is You Can't Buy Love. So that's on now. I think it's a great show. Watch it. They have subtitles. It's like Squid Games, you know? I mean, you can watch it in American, you can watch it in English, in Korean and all that stuff. So day 2 is pretty much just kind of hanging out at the pool, you know. We had the place to ourselves after Albert and Joycelyn and Zach left, because then we were going to go to her parents' place the next day. We have Clotcher, we have Skidoo, Quaxley, don't know how to pronounce that, Beach Court, thing I've always had. Another, jeez. Just kind of get on a side note here, I think that I'm pretty much on the bottom trying to get those last few cards for the complete the collection and everything, but we're going to keep doing these until I get the whole collection, so. Day 3, going to Quezon City. So it's meeting the parents. We got an early start. Albert came back. And we all, I'm trying to remember, was it that day that we did? Yeah, I think so. My timelines are getting a little hazy here, but let's just go talk about. So we got on to the Skyway, which is basically their highway. You have to pay for it. It's just a toll and everything. That was very nervous for me. Not so much leaving Manila. I mean, Quezon City is part of Manila. It's a different metropolis that's part of it. But when we got there, now understand, when you look at pictures of like the Radiance Bay Motel, you may think, oh, what a beautiful place it's in this resort. It's not. And the thing that I want to point out to everybody is that they make sure that when they take pictures of a place, if it's beautiful, you got to be so careful of getting your camera angles there. This is the way I felt. Because if you moved it to the side just very little, you will see the poverty. And here's the thing that's the difference that I saw within the days of being in Manila or the Philippines. Nobody came up to you like in America, or hell, even in Gainesville. You know, people coming up to you and just asking for money. These people, on the other hand, you know, they were very serene about it. And they were trying to make things. They were creating things to sell, either cooking whatever they could to sell. I mean, it was just, you know, kind of a perfect harmony. I did not feel in any type of danger or anything like that. I was not, I mean, like, sometimes in Gainesville, you know, when the homeless approach you, it's kind of scary. But different vibe. But when we got to Quezon City where her parents live, it's just this, they've got the Catholic school that's next to it. It was a very different experience, and they're all extremely nice. And of course, though, as Maria was saying, they're going to be nice to you because you're foreign and you're American, and they love that. But there was never a time that I felt I was more nervous because as an introvert, I don't like a lot of interaction with people. I get my interaction with people when I'm at work, you know, because I have to do that. But afterwards, I need to be completely left alone. Not away from my girlfriend or her friends, you know, I don't mind a couple of people, but a lot of people, oof, that took a lot of energy on my part not to just run away, because it was a lot for me. But they were all extremely nice. We watched them play volleyball, and I got to meet Regine's dad and her mom, and they're all just great, and her uncle and all the family members. And that was nice. And Albert cooked for us. So one of the big things that when you go to the Philippines is that they love karaoke. Not something I'm a big fan of. Ooh, singing in front of people is not something. Singing should be something you do in your car. Maybe in the shower sometime. But yeah. And they were trying to get me to sing, and Albert had left for a little while, and he came back with these 2 bottles of gin, and I think I've got a picture of them right here. Very strange looking bottles. And these 2 packets of Tang, and I don't know if they were yuzu fruit ones, whatever they were. And so he mixed them together, set it on fire, mixed it together, and then poured it into the pitcher. Now, it's one of those drinks that is very deceptive because you don't think there's any alcohol in it, but it's pretty much pure alcohol. Diluted somewhat. Ooh, whoa. Yeah. And no, I will not be showing any footage of what conspired there, because that is something that, it's not a cursed image to me, but I cannot look at it. I cannot. But yes, I did sing. I sang with, I think I sang with her dad. I can't remember. That's the bad thing. I got to that point that it was more like a dream. And I don't know. I hope I didn't embarrass her too much, and they just loved it. They were, you know, I was hugging her. It was nice. But it came to the point that I could not keep my eyes open, and saying goodbye to them, getting in the cab, getting back onto Skyway, and then getting back to the apartment. I do not remember any of that. And it took all my energy just to put the code into the door. And she wanted me to take a shower, and I'm like, I don't think I can stand. Somehow I did it, and I collapsed on that bed, and I was gone. That was fun, though. And she loved it. And I think she was very nervous about me being there, because like I said, it's very different worlds, you know. And like I said, I never felt scared. But if you go to the Philippines, have somebody you know there to be a guide, because it can be very overwhelming. Like, I would never go to Japan by myself and think that I would be okay. I would need to know somebody or get a guide that would help me. But yeah, that was meeting the parents, and loved every bit of it. So we have Energy Revival, LeChonk, Poke, Bird, What the Hell, Katie again, Star Raptor, this. The same old crap that we have. So the next day pretty much was just a relaxation day. It was getting to that point that, what were we going to do? So I had asked my girlfriend Regine, because we didn't get to see her other sister, Rowena, or her brother, but her brother, different story. Rowena, on the other hand, I don't know why that she didn't show up. So that was one of the family members I didn't get to meet. And then there was also Catherine, who joined us on the next day. And then we went swimming again, and that was really nice. And we had planned to go to Star City that night. Now, Star City may seem like it's a city of and unto itself. It's actually an amusement park. You can see it from the balcony. So we got dressed up, and, well, I got dressed up because, well, and here's the thing. Understand, I come from Florida, okay? You could not get any humid or hot, but when you get to the Philippines, it's a different type of humidity. It will bite you. It will not let you go. So dress accordingly. Dress very light. Get the wife beaters, the tank tops. You're not going to survive. It was actually nice in the evening time. I still sweated because I sweat. I mean, it's just the way I am. So we got to Star City and we had a nice dinner. Like I said, the food, coming off of Albert's food was just, and trying somebody else's. It's supposed to be a professional restaurant. They were nice, but I'm just like, this food is just not as good. The soup, the same soup that Albert made, the one that we got at the restaurant was a little bitter. It just wasn't cooked all the way. But I tell you something, the fried chicken, the pork adobo, oh my god, all that stuff is so good. And since I've come back, nothing's tastes the same. That's why I bought a cookbook. We'll do something else on this channel, because I do want to switch it up. I wanted to switch it up before I left. Like, we're going to do some different things, just a big quick preview. Maybe some, doing some recipes from this Filipino cookbook that I got. And also just trying out alcoholic drinks. Not like, like the Coke and Jack Daniels, which, oh god, that was disgusting. I had that in the Philippines. Ugh, that was disgusting. But, like, mixing whiskey with different types of lemon or citruses, and trying to make the best whiskey sour. What is the best whiskey sour? And whiskey sour is actually one of my favorite drinks next to Brandy Alexander. We'll probably do that one next. But getting back to it. So, Star City. So then we went out to Star City, and the first place, pretty much the only place we went to, was the Ferris wheel. And, where is it? So, I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but that's me and her. And the reason it's still in this bag is because I want to take it to Michael's and get a nice frame. Because I also have one of these 20 peso coins. It's really pretty, and it's from 2020, which is when we met. And I want to have that. You can stick the coin into the like a little slot, our pictures there, and then have the American flag and the Filipino flag, and then our names and everything. So something like, I know that's going to cost a pretty penny, but it's what I want to do. And you'll probably see it behind me when I do soda chats and everything. But that's pretty much all we did. We just went on the Ferris wheel, which was really nice, and we talked about pretty much what I wanted, our relationship to be, since it's just going to be so hard to get back to each other. But I asked her to, save up what she could, have a savings account and all that stuff, and what I plan to do when I get back, and hopefully things at work will change, whether for the good or worse. But yeah, I hated leaving her. But anyway, that's all we did. Star City is basically for little kids. They had a lot of little kid games. They had some kind of carnival games and everything. But me, Albert, Catherine, and Regine, we really didn't want to do that much. It didn't seem like they were interested that much in it, so I didn't really push anything to it. It was just nice to be with them. And yes, I mean, I can't really plan on something going to another country because it's their country. I want them to show me their country. If they were coming to America, hell yeah, I'd take them to any place they want to go, or just show them the ropes and everything. Zangoose, Krogan, Dedenne, Krillia, Gun, Thing, Judge, Chonk, Crushing Hand. Well, now, here's something to pause. We have a Katie card. I think this is the secondary one. It's not the special illustrated one, but hell yeah, we got a Katie card, guys. That's nice. It's a 2-star. Alright. Not bad. Okay. Alright. We got 2 of these left. We got a Katie card. Alright, so after Star City, the next day was kind of, what were we going to do? It was my last true day in the Philippines before I departed the next day. So what to do? So she wanted to go back to Quezon City and be with her family for a little while. And I was like, okay, that's great. I mean, like, I was all up for it, but I'm just like, remember, this is our last day together. Do you want to spend all day with them, or do you want to spend a half a day with them and then half a day, being together? We can watch some movies or shows or anything. And she wanted to do that. So we bought the family a nice big dinner and stayed there for about maybe 3 to 4 hours. It was just really nice. Her dad couldn't join us because he was at work, and that poor man works. He's a hard worker, and a lot of respect for him. A lot of respect for Robert. Brian, his brother, came, and we talked for a little while, and I didn't see much of her mom that day, and she was probably busy too, or resting. But yeah, I still didn't get to see Rowena. It is just a nice place. I can't describe it to you guys, but like I said, it felt homely enough that you felt comfortable, but still being the outsider, you still wanted to. I kept my distance, and of course the language barrier is still a thing. But that's going to change because I do want to learn Tagalog. And Tagalog really is not that difficult because they do have a lot of words that are inherited from Spanish. So, you can learn it pretty easily. You just got to take the time to do it, which is what I had started doing last year until the year before. And when I got rid of the Scion, I lost that CD player and kind of lost my want to learn, so I got to get back. I want to get back because I want to have, not to be fluent, that would take years, but, at least understand what they're talking about. So we got back and we watched a lot of horror movies. They watched A Quiet Place 2, which I never asked them if they ever saw The Quiet Place 1. They just put on A Quiet Place 2, which is still a good movie. We watched Eerie, U-Turn, The Haunted Mansion, the Filipino version, not the American version. And I forget who this guy is. They have this actor that's in the Philippines. He's very popular, and he is funny as hell. We watched this one that kind of made fun of the Disney princesses, and then this one that he was a commander in an army. He had to protect this little boy who had information. I don't know what the whole point of the story was. And then we watched this mermaid tale about this girl who was cursed by this woman to become a mermaid until she finds true love. It's very straightforward. I do want to mention something about Filipino horror movies. They start out strong. I mean, they come out swinging like that. They want you to stay focused on this. And they do have a lot of good jump scenes. It gets to the end that you wonder what happened to the writers. It seemed like the writers were like, okay, we're done. You finish up the ending, and it's just not as good. It's either predictable or it's just not good. It's like watching The Birds or Jaws. It's just kind of like, okay. Or the Jaws in the book, because the shark just dies in the book. But you're just kind of like, okay, wait a minute. You had this big hype, and then kind of just dies off. But it's just me, because their horror movies are not like ours, where it's not bloody. It's more of psychological, which is what I like, but it just doesn't have a good ending. But our last night was hard. And we did a lot of crying. I think we maybe only got like 3 hours of sleep. We did a lot of crying. And the one thing I do miss about being there with her is getting up in the morning and making her coffee, which I did every morning for her. She didn't ask me to, I just did it because, you know, when you're in love with someone like that, and it's difficult because you feel like now I still feel like there's a part of my soul that's missing. And she's not here. So, I am planning on going back next year. So, that was our last true day together. And checkout time was at noon. So, Amolia, Palmo, this thing, Rotom, Medicham, Waxley. So, this thing, another thing, and this thing. So, checkout time for the Radiance was at noon. Better than 11. But, my original flight out of Manila was originally at 5 p.m. So, I was like, that's great. So, we'd have 2 hours that we could spend together going somewhere, maybe having some breakfast or lunch or something like that. Then the airline they sent me a text that, oh, it's been changed to 7 and then to 9. And then one time it was at midnight and then it went back to 9. So the problem was I was pretty much out of money. I was out of pesos at this point. We couldn't stay in the hotel, the apartment anymore. So what were we to do? So there was nowhere for us to go. We couldn't go back to Quezon City because I didn't have the money to pay for Skyway. So, if you're going to go to Manila, the rooms are very cheap. Get another day at the room, even if you're not going to stay there, so that you have time to be with that person. That's the best that I can give you for that. But we went there. Albert met us. We had Jollibees, which... it's good, is it? It needs some more seasoning, but it's chicken, it's fried. Hell yeah, I'm taking that. Another thing about the Philippines is that their love of spaghetti, I don't get it. I just don't get it. But of course, though, at the same time, they don't get my obsession with cheese. That was hard. And being in the airport by yourself for 9 hours, because what were you going to do? Once I checked in, they couldn't come with me onto the... I mean, you had to be a passenger to get in. And I didn't want her just to stick around and stand out in the heat the whole time, so that was hard. So I got through security, and I was sitting there, and then apparently, I'm not blaming them, per se. I am blaming somebody on this. So I got through security, and they checked my bags and everything, and I went into the airport. So you think that you're done. And I got 2 Cokes, and I had finished almost 1, and then they were like, oh, well, you need to come back and do second screening, because apparently Hawaii, Guam, and LA had requirements for second screening. I'm like, wait, okay, well, they didn't say that. And once you go through second screening, you have to get rid of any food or beverages that you have, even though you bought them at the terminal that you're about to get on. Yeah, so kind of a F to that. Fuck that, because I threw away that wonderful bottle of Coke. I was pissed off. And of course, then you're still sitting there for several hours. Plane ride back wasn't bad. But like I said, it was extremely hard because that hurt. It hurt. I can't go into the details of how much that hurt, but I can just tell you that a piece of me is not here anymore, and my taste for stuff being back here is greatly changed, and I feel like I want to be there in the Philippines more than I do here, but hey, you know, that's just how you feel right now when you're in love. The first plane ride back wasn't too bad. I completely fell asleep during refreshment, so when you got on the plane, you had a half an hour, and they served you the main course, which was the regular, I think it was beef stroganoff or something. It was okay. Then I fell asleep, and I mean, I was out. And they don't wake you. They don't wake you at all. So you miss that middle portion for drinks and food, which was fine, because when I woke up, it was pretty much time for the breakfast portion, and that was good. So, when I got back to LAX, I had a 2-hour layover to Miami, which You know, they changed that too. So it was supposed to go straight back to Orlando, but then they're like, oh, we've changed it. You have to go from LAX to Miami. So there's a hop, skip, and a jump 5 hours to Miami. And then arrived. I was starving at that point because they don't feed you on the American Airline ones except for a cookie. I don't even remember what it was, actually. And when we got to Miami, I got this Cuban sub. Oh, it was just meat and cheese, but oh, that bread, Cuban bread, real authentic Cuban bread. It was so good, and it was nice and long. And I watched some YouTube videos while waiting, because it was a 2-hour layover. I will say that Miami's airport was actually nice. And I know a lot of people, you know, dish Miami, especially, I don't know where the chaos goes right now, but it was a nice airport. All the airports were nice. But Miami's, I think, was like the nicest looking one. I don't know why. And then they said it was an hour jump to Orlando, and I swear to God, we were only in the air for like 25 minutes. It was almost kind of like, what was the point? But now we return to why you should take a photograph of parking. So, get off the terminal, head to what I assumed was the same place that I had left the car. No. And I climbed from the bottom all the way to the top, and I still couldn't find the car. And I was freaking out because I was like, how did I enter? I knew the road to get in, but I couldn't find it. Because I could see it, but I'm just like, where does this road enter? I thought it was just the first row. It was not, because a couple of the first bottom top rows are for like the Avis, the budget cars and everything, rental cars and such. So the main parking was a little farther up, and I was like, but I don't remember what I'm looking for. And I happened to look into one of the glass areas where you have the elevators, and I saw 3 bears inside of a glass casing. I'm like, 3 bears? Why the hell would they put 3 bears? But then something in my mind kept saying foxes. So I'm like, I got onto the elevator with the glass box of foxes. So naturally, I went through each of the elevator ports, I guess you will, until I found it, and I went out, and there was my car. Oh, God. So it cost $224 to park there for the 7 days, or 8 days, whatever the hell, how they calculated it. And then getting back on the turnpike, I will tell you to upgrade. If you think that you're going to be comfortable sitting on an airplane for 5 hours, 13 hours in the economy seats, you are sadly mistaken. If you've got back problems like me, cough up the money for the plus, because you'll have a lot more leg room. You can lay down. It'll probably easier to sleep. It's not so much the food and beverage. It's just, you know, you're not going to be able to be comfortable at all unless you have a bottle of ibuprofen with you the whole time, which I don't like taking that much to begin with. Then, you know, cough up the money for it, which is what I'm going to be doing next year. And yes, it may be $3,000, $4,000. I will cough up money for it just to get back to her. Well, let's finish this up, guys. We have Ralts, we have Growlithe, Shuppet, Tondemaus, this thing, whatever, Torkoal, Houndour, River. Wow. So overall, guys, my trip to Manila was wonderful. And hey, we got a Katie card. Secondary one, but, you know, hey, better than nothing. And I guess that's it, guys. So the next time we do this, I'll think of something else to talk about. But if you're ever wanting to go to Manila, I strongly, strongly advise you do. But go with a guide. Have somebody there that's going to help you. Unless you're going to learn Tagalog within a year. Even that's still kind of hard. Do not rent a car. Let the cabbies do their job. And, yeah, just cough up the money for better seating on an airplane. And this is Mr. D. I will see you next time.